Class, welcome to virtual class video number 1. This is in replacement of class for the February 28th of this year. We're going to start off by going over a lot of the irregular verbs I'd mentioned in class. We're working on the preterite right now, which is the past tense, the snapshot type past tense. And I mentioned in class that we were going to be going over a lot of the verbs that are commonly used that are irregular and don't follow the pattern that we talked about on Tuesday. So we're going to go over that. We have 2 more videos that we're going to review. One is going to review 2 specific verbs in particular that are really difficult to work with in the past tense. And then we're going to go kind of do a review of just class in general. And for people, I know I had 1 or 2 people that were unable to make the class on Tuesday. It will be a good review for you as far as what we went over in class. We still have 1 more class session before we prepare, as we're preparing for the test. So we still will have more time to answer questions and go over that. So let's start out. If you could please make sure you have out virtual class video number 1 worksheet. And we'll start from the top and just kind of work our way down real quick. Shouldn't take more than 5 minutes or so. So as we have discussed, there are highly irregular past tense verbs that are very common. We're going to look at a few of those briefly here, and we have them listed right down below. And then after that, we'll go through and do some practice with those. Most of these verbs you should recognize as verbs that we've seen. Most of them are irregular in the present tense as well. So we'll start out with the verb decir, which means to say or to tell. So if it were following a normal pattern, it would keep the DEC, and we would just be changing the ending, taking off the IR, but that's not the case. So for decir, we have yo dije, tú dijiste, él dijo, nosotros dijimos, ellos dijeron. Notice that J has that H sound, just like jalapeño. Estar, to be, temporary situations. Yo estuve, tú estuviste, él estuvo, nosotros estuvimos, ellos estuvieron. Hacer, which means to do or to make. Yo hice, tú hiciste, él hizo, nosotros hicimos, ellos hicieron. And notice on that el hizo, because it has an O after it, they had to put a Z to make sure that it kept that Z sound. Poner, which means to put it in place. Yo puse, tú pusiste, él puso, nosotros pusimos, ellos pusieron. The next one, saber, to know. Yo supe, tú supiste, él supo, nosotros supimos, ellos supieron. And this in the past tense tends to kind of insinuate that like somebody realized something or knew something like in a moment, kind of came to realize something. So there's other forms when we talk about the imperfect word that gets used in a different manner. Tener, the last one, which means to have. Yo tuve, tú tuviste, él tuvo, nosotros tuvimos, ellos tuvieron. Okay, so these would be good verbs to practice. Remember, our test is going to be oral. I'm going to be focusing mostly on the regular verbs, so don't freak out too much about making sure you have all these memorized. But I did want to introduce them because you're going to find yourself wanting to use these quite frequently in the past tense, and I don't want you making the mistake of just using the regular conjugation form that we're learning for all the regular verbs when these ones are just significantly different. So now let's practice going through some of these sentences that we have. I'm going to say the sentence in Spanish, and all I'm asking is that you just try to fill in the slot with the appropriate word. The first 2, I put the verb at the end just so you kind of knew what verb I was working with and what we're getting at with this. And then after that, you just kind of have to go by sound to try to figure out what it is that the verb is, what verb and what conjugation is that you're supposed to be putting in there. So I'll repeat each sentence twice, and we'll just go from there. So, number 1. Ella tuvo 3 llamadas anoche. Ella tuvo 3 llamadas anoche. The next one. Nosotros no supimos qué hacer. Nosotros no supimos qué hacer. Number 3. Las pelotas estuvieron en el campo. Las pelotas estuvieron en el campo. The next one. Yo dije que no me gusta el baloncesto. Yo dije que no me gusta el baloncesto. The next one. Ellos pusieron los libros en la mesa anoche. Ellos pusieron los libros en la mesa anoche. Next one. Lo que tú hiciste es una falta. Lo que tú hiciste es una falta. Next one. Ellas pusieron un disco de Jesse y Joy. Ellas pusieron un disco de Jesse y Joy. The next one, second to last one. ¿Qué me dijiste? ¿Qué me dijiste? And the last one. Nosotros no supimos porque no pusimos atención en clase. Okay, listen very carefully. Nosotros no supimos porque no pusimos atención en clase. Thank you, and as soon as you're done with this, feel free to switch over to video number 2. Take a break, however you care to do it. Just make sure that you bring the sheet in to class. This will count as part of your quiz grade for today, and you are more than likely going to need it for your quiz that we're going to have on next Tuesday. Thanks, and have a good weekend.